welcome to another episode of Nolzur's Marvelous Tutorials with RealmSmith. I have some very special guests with us tonight. I'm very, very excited, all the way from the other side of the world, across the border to Canada. We have Noura, Ibrahim, of course, from Have Dice Will Travel, and a good friend of mine, and Kovaleski from Monster Fight Club. And they're joining us today. We're going to be painting the Dungeons & Dragons Nolzur's Marvelous Miniatures White Dragon by WizKids using Vallejo Game Color. That's always a mouthful.
It's going to be so much fun.
It's going to be so much fun. So you guys can go ahead and crack those open. A couple announcements that I'll go through before we get started. You guys know we have a Kickstarter going. We funded in under 48 hours. We are so excited. Thank you very much. We hit our 25,000. Now I'm talking Canadian dollars, which is like, you know,
Funny money.
Yeah, funny money. You had 50% on that, and that's the U.S. equivalent. Yeah, we funded in less than 48 hours our $25,000 Canadian goal. And now we're up to 37, I think, which is awesome.
Nice.
And it just hopefully continue to grow from there. You can check out our Kickstarter at www.realmsmith.tv/Kickstarter. And you can see all the goodness there. I'm pretty sure we are live on D&D, so we want to thank D&D for hosting us, as usual, every Sunday. We've taken a couple weeks off because of Gen Con, and I was sick one week. But here we are, and we're so excited to jump in. All right, first off, tools that we'll need. We have the D&D Young White Dragon miniature, of course, by WizKids that we are unpacking right now.
So cool.
We have brushes. So we're using Vallejo brushes today. We have a number 2 brush, a number 1 brush, and we also have a dry brush, which we'll need today. Of course, as usual, you need a water pot, paper towel, and a palette of some sort. Our guests today are going to be using the blister packs, which is a little trick of the trade that you can use for your palette. As far as paints go, fairly simple today, being a white dragon. Don't need too much. So we've got sepia wash, electric blue, glacier blue, got dead white, off-white black, blue wash, tan, heavy blue gray, and rosy flesh. Are you guys ready?
Yes.
This
is so cool.
It's so exciting. All right, so first off, we'll start with the base coat. So for a base coat, we're going to be using heavy blue gray. We're actually going to start with a gray base coat. So you guys can go ahead and add some of this to your palettes.
Okay.
And we're basically base coating the entire thing in this color, which is going to take a little while.
A hefty amount of this?
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay.
The paint does go quite a distance, especially, so the heavy blue gray that you're using now, yeah, that's enough for now.
That's enough?
Yeah. So these are the extra opaque paints, which are used. They're just a thicker pigment, so they go on literally in one coat. And so basically, it's a way to quickly base coat your miniatures. You guys have brushes, right?
Yep.
Yes, we do.
You guys have everything you need. Perfect. Let's do this. So let's start off with John.
Yes.
John, tell us about everything wonderful that is going on at Monster Fight Club.
Well, Monster Fight Club. So I guess back in April we did our Monster Scenery Kickstarter.
Yep.
Which did quite well. It ended up, I think 214,000 is where it ended up.
What?
And then I think we're up another 100 plus after that on the back side. We had the pledge manager open until Gen Con.
Yeah.
Gen Con just ended.
Yep.
And so now we are getting ready to fulfill. So it's been an adventure.
Yeah, I bet, right? Sorry, so you said you had a bunch of stretch goals, I'm assuming.
Oh, we had tons of stretch
Yeah,
goals.
can you tell us about some of that fun stuff that got unlocked?
Tell us what you get.
What'd you get?
What did you get?
So we had,
John?
so the main Kickstarter was for trees, hills, bridges and walkways.
Yep.
Those trees looked awesome.
Thank you. So the first thing people wanted to do was, we started off with the typical green trees that you might see.
Yeah.
And then we went and did some recolors to make them look like autumn.
Yeah.
And then...
Those trees are awesome, too.
Thank you.
Did you tell, I don't know if you have yet, but can you tell us about just the trees themselves? Like you have, so basically they work, the tops are interchangeable.
Yeah,
right?
So all the tops are interchangeable. There is basically a small trunk and a large trunk.
Yeah.
And then we have tops that are one's about 20% smaller than the other one.
Okay.
And imagine taking a cup and having it upside down. It's got nice texture and everything to it.
Yeah.
So even without having the trunk on,
Yeah.
you can just take the top and set it on the table.
And it looks like a bush.
And it looks like a bush, and it's more than big enough to put like an owlbear or something underneath it and hide it.
Yeah, of course you would.
People will come up and say, "Hey, what's that?" So I don't know. Take a look.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun. and then we have the trunks. So basically, you have the trunk sitting there, so you can take the top and put it on top. So imagine having a forest completely set up, and you have a dragon come in, and fire dragon comes in and blasts everything, burns the tops off. You can actually take the tops of the trees off. And for games that require like line of sight and things like that, it works really, really well because suddenly you can see through the foliage that's coming through.
And I love the fact that they're pre-painted.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the
awesome.
big thing.
Yeah.
You know, it's people. Some people want to paint. Some people want to game.
Yeah.
And whatever your hobby is, there seems to be something there. But if you are all about the gaming, sometimes painting can be a chore.
Yeah.
So anything that you can do to free up players' time so they can get right to it, I think is a useful thing. And so we kind of went that way with it.
That's great.
And then you have more time to paint dragons.
More time to paint dragons. And it has been a while since I have painted a dragon.
That's awesome.
Carl the Snack is really intrigued.
Oh yeah, Carl.
Is really intrigued. He's my painting buddy, and he's very interested in what's going on
I
down
thought
here.
that was so fake when I first saw it. It starts moving around.
He's so chill.
I'm sure everyone's like, what is
I was like,
that?
what? I had to introduce Carl the Snack, so just people would be like, why is she? What's live thing is dangling from an arm?
And those pink eyes, it's crazy.
And just so everybody knows, we are live on chat. I am self-producing today. Our producers are all off on family vacations. RealmSmith, we're always about family first, so that was important today. So I am self-producing, so I am trying as much as I can to keep up on chat here. You guys have any questions, thoughts, concerns, anything like that, definitely speak up and let us know. So apart from the trees, you guys had some
So we had
rock.
Yep. So we had rocks. So
Yeah.
so what we did with the rocks was we basically made the rocks hollow underneath, so you could actually have hiding places and stuff to move things around.
Yeah.
And we made what we call our big hill, which is about the size of a eating plate.
Yeah.
And the way we cut the back is basically has a cliff along the back with this really cool shape. But
Cool.
But the shape is cool because you can take two of them, put them together, and they lock together so you can make even a bigger hill.
That's great.
And then we broke everything up into...
Are they all stackable? Like, could you make like a big hill if you wanted?
So what we ended up doing, it's not really stackable, but everything is designed that if you take them and kind of slide them up next to each other, it doesn't look like there are seams. It looks like it's this natural rockway that everything goes together. Yeah. And then what we did is we made all the surfaces very flat. Yeah. So you can actually put models on them and they don't fall over.
Yeah, perfect.
And,
good call.
And we broke it up into 5 different levels. So if you take a level 2 from one rock and a level 2 from another rock and put a bridge across them, they're level.
Awesome.
And so you can connect everything together and do walkways. Right. So it's not just a terrain set. Yeah. It's also a storytelling set because all the walkways every walkway has at least one trap door on it. Yeah. So who knows what's there? Things pop out. You have, monsters can pop up underneath you. Yeah, can be out in a swamp and a giant tentacle comes up and does something else. Yeah. And then we have bridges so that the bridges can kind of come up so you can do the whole, crazy witch in a swamp routine where you have
all
a
that
swamp
stuff.
table and everything connects together and goes through there.
That's cool.
And then, so there's 9 different kind of rocks that all kind of work together. And over time, we're going to add to those, but we're not adding to them for the sake of adding to them. There has to be a function. Right. So everything we're creating, we're trying to have at least 2 functions to something. So we have one rock that we ended up being a stretch goal that was it had foliage on top of it, and it looks like this really cool vines and stuff that comes up. But people didn't realize you can take the vines, move them out of the way, and there's a cave.
Oh, that's cool.
So it's a really cool little story
awesome.
thing.
That's awesome.
For the trees, we ended up making it's almost like a little deer stand that you can lock into any of the tree sets, and you can hide an archer or something up in the top. Right. And you're sitting there playing, and you can put the top back down so you can't see it. There's even a little plastic rope that comes down so you can hide it. So your adventurers are sitting there, walking through, and you say, "You make a perception check," and they're like, "Why?" Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it. That's what I say every time. Don't worry about it.
And we'll see what happens.
What do you mean?
Don't worry about it.
Don't worry
Don't
about
worry about it.
Yeah, exactly. That's awesome, man. So other than obviously the Kickstarter is big, but other than the Kickstarter, what else is Monster Fight Club up to?
We're doing all kinds of stuff. So
Anything you can talk about?
Yeah, I got a few things I could talk about. So
Any exclusives?
Exclusives. Let's see. I'm trying to think about what we announced.
Yeah.
So we announced that we are doing a Monster Plush. Nice. So Monster Plush, and we sneaked a couple of peeks of this at Gen Con. We're basically doing a whole range of plush monsters. A lot of iconic types, and then a lot that we're making up ourselves.
Yeah.
And that's going to be it's more of a, what might something look like as a little baby with big eyes.
Yeah.
So it looks cute.
Super cute.
They're terrifying and adorable.
Yes.
And I want all of them.
So
that.
That's so we have things,
great.
like the Grabby Tabby and the mean mini-eyed monster and different things like that, which is a lot of fun.
Awesome.
And then
that's great.
Unrelated to that, we announced that we have the license to do miniatures for Cyberpunk and for The Witcher.
Oh, no
Saw
way.
that.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So we sneak peeked a little bit of that while we were at Gen Con.
Yeah.
So if you happen to go on the Monster Fight Club 31 feed on Instagram, or you can see some of that.
We can see those now?
Yeah. We have some of that up there now, so you can check that out. And then the last thing that we have is we have a board game that we're coming out with.
Ooh, saw that.
People may or may not know. For the 20 years before I came to Monster Fight Club, I founded and ran Gale Force 9. The board game company.
Yeah, you did.
And we did Spartacus, and we did a lot of games. We did Spartacus. We did Volta Dragons for D&D at the end. We did Star Trek Ascendancy, Firefly, which is probably our most popular one that we put out there. And when I left, most of the creative staff that helped me create those games through the years came with me to Monster Fight Club.
Cool.
So we're finally going to do a unbranded game for a change.
Yeah.
And it's something a little different. It's called Tentacle Town. And it's that classic game of building a city along a coastline only to be attacked by giant tentacles.
Of course.
My worst nightmare.
So it's
Really? You stay up at night like, oh man, those tentacles.
That's what keeps me awake at night.
Yep. So and what I love about it is it's the game's a spectacle to see. So you're sitting there, and it's almost like you're playing this worker placement, Settlers Catan type game, and you're putting people out there, and then you have these giant tentacles attacking from the ocean that are coming in. So these things are working their way on the board, and they're killing meeples, and they're pulling people back, and they're crushing houses, and you have to feed your people. So every time you successfully kill a tentacle, it produces calamari that you can feed back to your guys.
Yep, that's awesome.
And it's a lot of fun.
That's calamari. That is great.
And
that's great. Are the tentacles attached to anything? Is the question I have.
So the tentacles are all standalone. So the ones we've been showing off.
I mean, like story wise. Like, are they attached?
Well, you'll have to wait. I can't talk about it.
No spoilers. No spoilers.
Well, speaking of spoilers, there is a really short little 30-second video floating around out there right now, showing some animated stuff going on.
Where can we see said video?
Oh, you can see it on. I was like, yes, you can see it. And I'm like, of course. It's on our Instagram, and so Instagram, it's the Monster Fight 31. 31 is for October 31st, which was our start date. And then
that's appropriate.
That is appropriate because we are all about monsters. And then it's also on our Facebook, which is Monster Fight Club.
That's awesome.
And you can see it there as well.
So great.
What are you doing, Carl? Where are you going?
He wants water? Is that what he's...
Maybe.
Like, give me a drink.
That's not for drinking. That's for painting.
That's so funny. Awesome. Monster Fight Club sounds amazing. In general, dude. I'm so excited for all that stuff.
Thank you. So it's a blast. We're doing a lot of the same things we used to do, but we're also doing a lot of new creative stuff, and we get to spread our wings again and get excited about things.
Yeah, it's awesome. Just going to answer a couple questions. We've got, when do we get to see more giants being painted? We did a Frost Giants. We did a 3-part
cool.
frost giant painting, and it was a bit more of kind of an advanced sort of next level. We try to do everything in 2 hours. Like this dragon will be done in 2 hours, which is why I'm gonna kind of speed through it. Yeah, if you guys want to see another giant, maybe we'll do another giant. Maybe we'll do a cloud giant. If you guys want to sound off in the chat as to whether you want to see a hill giant. We did a fire giant already, so a hill giant or maybe the cloud giant that we have would be cool too. So you guys can and that was from Osobayako. I always love trying to read out handles. It's hilarious. Mikey says, so happy to see the Kickstarter to be such a success. I've backed it. Really excited to see how it goes. Thank you so much, Mikey. Naroon says the same thing. Back the Kickstarter. Can't wait to see how it goes. Nice. Cyberpunk Mini.
Yeah.
Zenfear says, a question. When you choose your highlight or dry brush color, how do you choose it? How many shades lighter, or do you use the color wheel? Oh, those are great questions.
Those are really great questions.
And I have a very untechnical answer to that question. For me, and John, you're a experienced painter, as we spoke about before the show started. For me, it's all about feel. It really depends on how much depth and how much contrast I want in my mini. So, for example, here, I've chosen a heavy blue gray because it's an extra opaque paint. It's going to cover a lot better than a lighter color would, or one of kind of the layer colors would. And then we're going to go in after this, and we're going to wash it with a blue wash. So that'll bring it down and then back up. But there's so many ways to do it. You can go from a light color to a dark color with a wash, or you can go from a dark color to a light color with like a dry brush if you want. I mean, there's so many. That is such a kind of context specific. There isn't a rule of thumb, I guess, across every mini, which you'll see in all of the tutorials we do, which are, quite different.
And a lot of people have styles. There's some people that prefer, that's that dark, high contrast type stuff, so they'll always start with the black, and then they bring it back up. And there's other people that want to paint their models white first, and then they go back in and they basically paint them white, go in and paint in their contrast, and then they go and bring everything back into it. I think from a beginner point of view, starting from black and coming up sometimes is easier.
Yes, I agree. Because then you get natural shadows and such.
You get natural shadows and stuff. And in our office, we just hired a couple of people that were brand new and never did miniature painting before. And one of the things I've done to show people what dry brushing is and what you can achieve from that, just get a garden rock, wash it in soap and water, spray paint the thing black, teach them a real basic dry brush technique.
That's great.
And by going up to gray and then kind of a bleachy white, they're like, oh my God, the whole thing just popped.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And then, and now they understand what they're trying, so when they go and actually do a model, they're not putting so much paint on it, gets destroyed.
Totally.
And that sort of stuff.
And for me, with the WizKids minis, because they come pre-painted right out of the package, right out of the blister, I tend to go mid-tone first. This is what I've been doing a lot of. Because you have the lighter gray undertone or base tone from the primer, I go mid like I am now, so a mid-tone like this. I'll wash on top of that, which will give me the dark contrast shadows, and then I'll dry brush the highlights. And that's a really quick way to kind of get there, rather than going, like you said, I used to be classic black prime every single time. But this has actually kind of forced me to think a little differently about it, and how can I save some time?
And you're definitely not a beginner anymore.
So,
you get to play with some of the more
advanced,
some of the more advanced stuff.
I've been doing this, but also, I mean, what I was gonna say earlier, what was it? I had a thought, and it was right here.
A lot of it is light source too.
A lot of it's light source. It's true.
Yeah.
Very true. Very true.
So sometimes if you're bringing up some color on some stuff, but if it's a dragon that's sitting near a lava rock, there's going to be some red hues, and you're going to want to shift the color towards that. I know that when we were picking out the colors for the dry brushes on the monster scenery we were working on, we used Pantone books. And basically we would pick our dark tone. And then we would go probably 2 chips over. And then we'd go halfway up. And that would soften it up a little bit, and then we would kind of go back the other way and take the high tone from the other one. And when you're trying to explain to a factory how you want things painted up, you have to be very specific that way. So like you, I never really thought about it until you
Yeah.
had to tell somebody who you're not going to be sitting
Totally.
next to how to paint something.
Yep. Yep.
And then even then, you're worried it's not going to be right. So when the time comes, I'm actually going to fly out to the factory to make sure that they get it done correctly.
Yeah. That's the way to do it for sure.
Exactly what I need.
It's
A little bit more.
the other thing too that I tend to say pretty much every. Did he went for a ride?
He jumped from one.
Yeah, I'm
He's
impressed.
very agile. Very agile.
I'm impressed that you're able to do that with him.
I know, it's pretty awesome.
He became my friend very quickly.
Because you're so warm.
But I come from wargaming paint miniature background, as you do, kind of, John.
So what was the first thing you painted?
First thing I ever painted?
Yep.
Funny story. So at Origins last year, I was at a party that... Were you there, Noura, last year?
At
Origins?
no,
No, right? But our good friend in the other room was there. And I was at the Ralph Parther party. And I was sitting on the couch, and we were talking, and this is... Origins last year was my first show as RealmSmith, and it was very exciting, and it was kind of a milestone moment for me. And I was sitting on the couch, and Holly Conrad was to my right, and Stefan Pokorny was to my left, and it was kind of a crazy moment for me, just being like, "Wow, I'm here. Like I've okay, this is milestone one. This is stop one.
Yep.
This is it." And I was sitting on the table, and the whole show was kind of like that, just meeting kind of all my heroes and the people that I look up to in the industry and so on. And I looked at the table, and they had a pile of Ralph Parther minis, like the old ones. And I reached in and I picked out literally the same mini that I painted for the first time when I was 12 years old.
That's
and it was the
awesome.
cleric mini holding, I think it's a hammer upside down. He's got a cross on the top of his helmet. And I there were tears. It was like an oh my goodness, I am exactly where I need to be at this very moment. So that was the first mini I ever painted. It was a cleric mini from the Ralph Parther series, and I think it was like the 2-pack kind of the hero mini. So you had like the epic mini and
Yep.
from back in the day, and that was it. And I can still remember what the paint scheme was, and so I actually want to go back. I brought that mini home, and I want to go back and I want to repaint it again.
Oh, that's super cool.
I don't have the original, unfortunately. I don't think anymore.
You know, you can still get a lot of that
That
stuff.
was my first mini.
Which is great.
You can.
I have been.
They're called Ironman now, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And it is very therapeutic to go back and look at some of the old metals and you forget because everything's in plastic.
Yeah.
And I remember when they were first making the switch over. I was had my metal Dark Angels and I was going to paint them up for GW, and then the plastics came out. And they look so good. I'm like, yeah, but they're so light.
Yeah, I know, right?
It doesn't feel right.
It's a tough transition until
you start looking at
understand
how
it.
good the plastics are looking.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, no, and I was at that same party this year, and again,
crazy to look back
it was nuts.
How much a year?
Yeah, because then at that point, now I'm bringing friends to the party, who hadn't been to the party before, and again, the friends sitting down, Rick Ankney actually from Game Trade Media and Painting Happy Little Minis, sat down at the party, and he was, and he just started going through it, and DM Scotty, who they're both sitting down and they going through the pile of minis and being like, just the nostalgia factor of going through all of it and remembering kind of those early days of role playing and where we came from, where we started, and
the first time I ever painted online was with Rick.
Oh, was it?
His show, yeah.
Oh, yeah?
Which was a lot of fun.
On Painting Happy Little Minis?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. He invited me to come out, and actually he wasn't able to come that day, so Dave Taylor sat in, and Dave's a superstar painter.
Yeah, sure is.
So I was woefully outgunned, and we were actually touching up some of the trees that I brought out. And, and it was just fun to just sit back and talk to old friends and reminisce about the good old days.
So fun. And that's actually what happened at Origins. I had asked a bunch of celebrities kind of to sit in, and Satine was one of them, and she said yes, had never met me before, said, yeah, no problem, I'll do it. And then she brought Holly Conrad and Rudy Rutenberg along with her, and they kind of sat too, and it was just this whole kind of really cool, it's just awesome. I just love this community so much.
Me too.
Yeah.
All right. That's Monster Fight Club. Noura,
Hello.
so happy to have you. So last time we hung out was at karaoke.
Yes, I was going to bring up when are we going back?
It needs to happen soon.
That was fun.
It was
I did
so
not know you
much
were such
fun.
a good singer.
I didn't know you were such a good singer.
Oh, thank you.
But I mean, it was LA, so everyone in that room was like
It's
Grammy Award winning.
It's always a fun time.
It was a blast. But yeah, we sang Phantom together.
That's right, we did. What else did we sing together? We sang that Journey song.
Yeah, we did. Don't Stop Believing.
That's right.
We sang More Than Words.
Uh-huh.
Again with our friend in the other room.
That's right.
Cue the music.
And then this turns into a karaoke.
Yeah, and then this turns into a karaoke show. I should have had that. We have a screen right here. I could have like
That would be fun.
I could have very
We'll
easily.
do that next time.
Karaoke D&D.
Yes.
Karaoke painting. It'd be great.
So Nora, the last time I heard you sing, you were at New York Toy Fair singing in carpool karaoke.
I was
And
at
that
New
was-
York Toy Fair.
Yeah, and that was very impressive.
That's right. They had a carpool karaoke thing set up,
Yeah.
and
Where was this?
this was in
Toy Fair?
New York at Toy
Yep.
Fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I
Hilarious.
can never pass up a karaoke opportunity.
Yeah,
so,
me neither.
So that definitely happened in front of a lot of people.
That's so funny. Yeah, no, karaoke brings people together. Okay, I'm done my base coat.
Yeah, I'm just about there.
I'll let it sit just for a second. But tell me
Yes.
about what you're up to, and for those that may not know, what kind of you're up to these days, and,
okay.
and what you're doing.
Well, I play a character named Jahan on the mobile app game Ingress, who is made by Niantic, who did Pokemon Go. And the
Nice.
new Harry Potter one.
Excuse me.
So, I've just been put on for another year, so it's a great, it's a really fun job. We do like VO work, and then you get to be a video game character, but then you also get to do these really fun live appearances at the anomalies that they set up, where just like they set up several cities around the world
Yeah.
on the same weekend, and thousands of people show up and they play the game together.
Really?
And usually it's like to accomplish like a sort of
crazy.
mission. So
Yeah,
if
yeah,
you're
yeah.
playing the game, you play on one of two factions. So you're either enlightened or you're resistance. And I played the leader of the resistance.
Of course you did.
So there's
She is part of the Rebel Alliance and a traitor.
ha.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
so
Actually, sports your snake.
it's-
Yeah.
So there's usually some sort of mission involved
Yep.
with these anomaly days that they set up, and then whichever faction, I guess, gains access to more portals and completes their missions, completes like an objective in the game that actually pushes the plot line forward. So
Really?
the players themselves
What?
have a chance to like really change the lore of the game.
That's cool.
So it's really exciting, and then we get to go, travel around and be very much in character
That's
the entire
awesome.
time. It's super immersive.
Cool.
So I've been doing that.
That is so fun.
Yeah, and I play a character named Ebe on Vampire the Masquerade, LA by Night, for anybody who is big into the Vampire the Masquerade RPG, which I love. So that has just wrapped its third season, and I just was on an epilogue on just a few days ago, so that was exciting.
Fun.
Yeah, and then other than that, I am on an upcoming D&D show
Yeah.
called Have Dice Will Travel. If you look up at Have Dice Will Travel on Twitter and Instagram, you can check out some updates. So we wrapped the show. It's going to be, it's in post right now, and we'll keep you guys updated on when
that's
the release
awesome.
is for that. But John Castle is our DM for that game.
So good.
And
He runs the best games.
he is
really does.
amazing. John Castle is awesome. I mean, he's created this this own universe as like a homebrew
Yeah.
game, and he's created this insane universe. I don't want to talk about it too much because I don't want spoilers.
It's D&D 5e.
It's D&D 5e, yes.
Cool. Awesome. It's so exciting.
And I play one of the characters in that. So
I can't
yeah.
wait to see it.
Yeah.
I'm so excited.
So Have Dice Will Travel. If you want any updates on
great.
on upcoming
Good. That's great.
releases. Yeah.
People are saying they're excited to see how this white dragon turns out because white is hard to paint.
Yes, it is.
It is true.
Yeah, I was wondering. I was interested myself in seeing the process in this.
Thank you. It's gonna be
Well,
fun.
you just don't spray paint it white and be done.
Yeah. All right, and that is there a URL I can post here for Have Dice Will Travel? It's just at Have Dice.
It's at Dice Will Travel.
At Dice Will Travel. There it is. There. Awesome. People are saying Cloud Giant next, eh? All right.
I would be excited to see a Cloud Giant myself.
Okay. People are talking about Horde of the Dragon Queen, how awesome that is, and it is. We ran it for a while in our home game. Lots of people chatting. I love it. Good stuff. All right, so we're almost there. Next, we're going to... there are areas. You want to be careful to not add a wash when your base coat is wet, because that will just create a disaster.
Yeah, and my still look pretty damp too.
So I do have Ethan, my son, who is the guy who runs things for me. Is he there? No, he's not. He's probably upstairs. It's so good, eh? It's okay. Oh, I hear movement.
Ethan, come hither.
Hey, bud, can you grab me the mobile fan so we can... The portable fan there?
I thought you were going to pull a cooking show and say, hey, here's
No.
some that are already great.
yeah. And there it is. Off to commercial break, and then...
Awesome.
Thank you.
sir.
Thank you very much. There we
Do
go.
you use this?
Right in. It went right in the water. That was
Well,
brilliant.
the cap was on, so you're
Nice shot, buddy.
all right.
All right, it was my fault.
I'm just trying to not drink out of my paint water. And if
Have you ever done that before?
No, but if I manage to make this show and I don't drink
Yeah,
the paint
then
water,
you're-
then I'm in a
then
good
you're-
spot.
you're good.
I'm good.
Good. That's hilarious.
Those are my goals.
I've never drank my paint water, but I have absolutely cleaned my brush in my drink.
Yes, I have done that.
I have done that before. This is like 3 different settings. It's pretty insane here. I'll pass this on in a sec.
I've got to give WizKids some kudos here. This is a really nice dragon.
Yeah, it is.
It really is.
They are, and they're getting better. Every wave
Absolutely.
I find gets better.
Yeah.
We did all the ones in wave 8, and now we're touching a couple of them in wave 9.
Yeah, I can honestly say if you haven't painted WizKids models in a while, they've gotten way better.
Yeah.
These are really good.
Shout out to Justin.
So detailed.
And the folks at WizKids. Okay, I don't know if you guys want this.
Like I'm
but-
looking at the anatomy of this thing. I'm looking at like even
It's
just
crazy,
like, the
right?
muscles and
Crazy. It's crazy these
super
days.
detailed.
I am blown off the model.
And the price point, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
You can't go wrong
No, you can't go wrong.
with the price point on these. Okay, so next, blue wash is the next thing that we're going to do. And this is going to darken down the mini significantly, but then we're going to bring it up with consecutive the dry brushes, which will be good. Now with blue washes, the Vallejo washes are quite strong and thick, so I am going to add a little bit of water and dilute it a little bit. But we're going to go pretty liberal on this all over the mini. So what I want to do is we just want to...
use this for a couple seconds.
Yeah, thank you.
Pass that over to you.
This is handy.
Now what I usually say with washes is I don't really paint them on, I manipulate them on the surface. And what that means basically is you put it on the surface and then you're going to want to brush it into the recesses to make sure that it kind of settles where you want to. Washes are different from inks. Inks kind of tint the surface of a figure that you've painted, or whereas washes will creep into the crevices and create contrast and highlight. Contrast and shadows quite naturally. It's talent in a bottle, we call it. Liquid talent, because it really makes it look cool. You can see all of a sudden already all those shadows
Yep,
are starting to pop. Now this will take a while to dry, so we want to get these done as soon as possible. How are we doing for time here? Oh, we're good. Only 35 minutes in. We got this. So far, I finished every mini in the time allotted, except for the black dragon.
That is very impressive.
House thinking the same thing.
Yeah, it's the black dragon. It's because of these spines, like painting all the spines in. With this white dragon, as you can see from the kind of the source material, it's all the same color, more or less. But the black dragon had kind of this green webbing in its wings, like all the, what would you call it? What'd you call that? Just the webbing part in between the spines. I don't know what else to call it.
Skin? I don't know. I'm
Yeah,
sure there's a
skin.
word for it. I'm waiting for
Membrane.
some-
Membrane.
I was waiting for somebody to type it over there.
Yeah, no membrane. But yeah, so that just took the time because of the detail work. But yeah, we try and show people that you can get these done fairly quickly. And I started mentioning earlier, we come, John and I come from a wargaming, kind of Warhammer painting background. And so with those, you're using them every single session, right? Your army, unless you have a couple armies, which is fine, but you're using them a lot. With D&D minis, I'm going to paint this young white dragon, and I'm going to use it once, and then I'm probably not going to use it again, right?
Yep.
For a while. And so, for example, the Frost Giant that we painted is the Harshnag miniature from Storm King's Thunder. And it's modeled after that character. That character is an NPC in our campaign. And so I wanted to take a bit more time with him. He's going to be on the table longer. He was a bit more of a showpiece, a centerpiece for the game. But with these, for me, I just want to get him table ready.
Right.
I want to get them painted as well as I can so that they impress the players at the table, but I'm not going to enter them into any contests or win any prizes with them. It's basically, what I can do to get a really cool painted miniature on the table. For me anyways, because I like to play with my minis. It's not just necessarily for show for me. So so what we teach in these classes, in these tutorials, is how do we get these miniatures painted as quickly as possible to with still, an impressive final result.
And you were just quick. I'm definitely nowhere near as practiced as you.
You figure out kind of some of the.
So do you paint every day? Pretty much.
Yeah, these days, yes. These days it's been like that. I did. I painted the miniatures for the Founders and Legends game.
I saw those. They were great.
I talked to Luke on. I talked to Luke Gygax on Sunday about doing all 6 minis for his game, and that was for Matt Colville and Matt Mercer and Debran Wall and TJ Storm and all those guys. So it was like a big deal for me. And I was like, so do you want miniatures for it? That was the Sunday before Founders and Legends. That was the weekend before.
Yeah, no stress.
And then literally,
no pressure.
Yeah. And then I didn't get to painting till Tuesday. And so Tuesday I painted all 6 in 9 hours, I think. And then shipped them out the next day so that they could have them in studio by Friday.
I am noticing that you are dipping in water way more than I am. Are you diluting?
I am
a little bit.
I am just because the white dragon we want to make it a bit lighter. It tends to be a little lighter. It's going to take a lot more work. The darker the wash that we apply is, the more work it's going to be to get it up to white.
Gotcha. That was just more about.
Yeah. I also, if you dilute it a bit, it goes a little further. You can control it a bit better. I dilute everything, including the extra opaque paints.
Also seems to fall into the little
crevices better.
Better.
Yeah.
As I'm noticing.
I'm basically dipping my brush in the water every time I go and load my brush, just a little bit. And I am liberal with this. I'm just going to town on it.
Gotcha.
For the sake of this, like I said, we're not winning any awards with this bad boy.
Yeah, but you know what? Most people don't play with painted figures, so if it's painted, you're winning already.
Right, exactly, right?
Yeah.
Other than like time factor, is there any technique that you find, like what would you say is the most challenging part of this for you?
Of this specific mini or just
Not
in
the
general?
specific, just in general, like when you're painting. In the like short amount of time that you do.
Yeah. So one thing that I did, for example, on the minis for Founders and Legends was batch painting. And so you'll know from your Warhammer days, you paint multiple or the same color on multiple minis. So I literally line them all up and all the leather pouches that I wanted to be a certain color leather, I do them across every mini.
Okay, like
And so
an
you're
assembly
saving,
line kind
yeah,
of
basically.
deal.
So you're saving washing time, you're saving brush clean time, all that kind of stuff. That tends to speed things up a little bit. And I think for me, knowing where to spend your time is another big one for me. And so I'll look at a miniature ahead of time, and I'll spend a lot of time on the face and some of the details, but not a lot of time on the things that don't matter as much.
Okay.
Like the underbelly, things that aren't going to make a massive difference at the table, I would say. But yeah, time is always the biggest challenge. Because I'm always painting minis the week of the game, for example.
Yeah.
If you're really busy, right, you're always kind of like, oh no, I got to finish this, and this. And then you're
Also,
choosing what to do and what not to do.
Adulting eats up time.
Adulting eats up a lot of time, especially with children.
Yes.
Yep.
Now, thankfully, my son is at the age now where I can put him to work, and he paints a lot of the minis.
I was gonna ask, does he paint with you?
He does. So he was into it before, but when I took him to Origins when we did the paint and takes at Origins. We did the Vallejo master classes in the Vallejo booth.
Yep.
And he wanted to sit every single class and paint with us. And then we would go out in the evening and we'd play board games or go for dinner. And he'd be like, Dad, can I just go back to the hotel room and finish my Frost Giant? Or can I just... Like he got so into it. So
cool.
he came back with a whole army of different creatures that he painted, which is pretty awesome. So now he painted the carrion crawlers for the Founders and Legends game.
Nice.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, he's a machine, that kid.
That's awesome.
And then in his spare time, as you saw on my Instagram, he cleans the washroom and he did the caulking in the tub last night.
Are you serious?
Yeah, he's 12. He's unbelievable, that boy, I tell you. Such a blessing, that kid. Anyways.
He's a riot. He was showing me his airsoft collection.
Yeah,
And I am a closet airsoft nerd myself. I really enjoy it.
Yeah.
And that was actually
That's
something
the way.
that me and my son did a lot of together.
My brothers did
Was
airsoft a
airsoft.
lot. Yeah, he showed me his snakes, so I
Yes.
obviously
So now you're walking away
was
with one.
now I'm like, this is mine now.
You have claimed Carl.
Carl is my friend.
Great. So Noura, have you done a lot of miniature painting or some miniature
I've
painting?
done
Was it-
some.
Yeah.
I would call myself a very much a beginner painter. I have painted some of my own character minis,
Nice.
which is always fun. It's a
Yeah.
nice way to just kind of like really, I guess, bond with your character. There's something about painting
Yeah.
your own character mini that makes you
I
just
agree.
like super
Yep.
proud. Like once you start
Yeah.
playing,
Yep.
and that's
changes the game a little bit.
and
he's
that's
not
one of the
yours
places
until
you
you
want to
paint 'em.
and that's one of the places you want to invest the time.
Yeah.
If you're going to take the time to paint a mini, it's going to be a mini that you use every week or
Yeah.
every session.
And then once you start getting into it a little bit, you're like, you know what? I'm actually going to put that piece of rope on my own mini. And I'm
Yeah.
going to go ahead and put
Yeah.
that piece of chain or my special dagger or
Yeah.
whatever you're going to do.
Yeah.
And then you can really make it your own. And
Yeah.
that's when it starts sucking up your life. And the next thing
Yeah.
you know, you have a room dedicated to it.
I'm okay with it. We have a D&D
So
room
good.
in our house.
I
Me
love
and
it.
my roommates.
I love
Yeah.
it. Do you guys play a home game there?
We do. We have a roommate game that Kelly D'Angelo runs,
Nice.
who is an awesome DM. So we did introduce a few of our roommates who have never played D&D before to D&D, and now one of my roommates, 10, is especially super into it.
Oh yeah.
After our first session, she
Isn't that
stands up and
great?
she's like, I know nobody wins at D&D, but tonight I want
I
D&D.
totally won D&D. That's great.
And now she's created her own mini, and she's found other games to play in.
Nice.
Like it's always fun.
That's awesome.
I'm gonna be
awesome.
DMing for the first time very soon because my brothers are super like interested in D&D after they see all the stuff that I'm doing.
See?
Yep.
So cool,
And even
man.
like my sister-in-law wants to play, and so I'm going to
Kill them all.
well, ha 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 ha. So I'm going to try and DM for the first time for them, and it's going to be a learning curve for both of us because they're going to be learning how to play D&D
Yeah.
for the first time ever.
Nice.
So I I really want to just make it really special for them.
Yeah, totally. It's amazing how infectious D&D is. And it's funny because I come from the days where D&D was not cool.
Me too.
And
Closet D&D player.
Yeah, I came from, I came through the Satanic Panic and all that kind of stuff. And
did you have to talk to your priest?
No, so I come from.
My mother made me talk to my priest.
Really?
Oh no, I talked to my pastor, absolutely. So we come from a Protestant Pentecostal background. So and actually, I went to Bible college and I was a youth pastor for years after high school and all that kind of stuff.
All right, so that's proof it doesn't convert you.
Yeah, that's right. That's proof right there. But I had to hide it, and the only way my mom let me play was because I told her that that I was playing a paladin, and my point was to bring good to the world, and she was like, okay. All right. And she kind of agreed. But yeah, it was a rough go. But now, for example, so I worked at my day job before I started this full time was at World Vision, the charity. And I worked in the web department. And our noobs, we have a noob stream called Tales from the Shattered Shield. And we play through our monthly adventure crates on that stream once a month. And they're all brand new D&D, actually, 3 out of the 4 brand new D&D players. Some of them hadn't even heard of it. And love it, like messaging me all the time. When's the next session? When's the next session? When can we play? Like it's so crazy. And then like my girlfriend's son, Nick, is now into it. And so when, I was years ago, maybe 2 years ago when we were playing all the time, I tried to get him to play and tried to get him into it. And then literally last month, his friends asked him to play, and now he loves it. And so it's just it's crazy how it crosses generations, and it's coming back around for the young folks. And my son plays on our noob stream as well.
That's awesome.
It's just so cool, man.
Yeah. My parents still don't understand what it is. I keep trying to, they're like,
Right.
wait, where are you going this weekend? I'm like, I've got a thing. It's for D&D. Is that the game you play with dragons in it? Yes.
Yep, that's the one.
That's the one. What is that again? I'll tell you later, again, over dinner.
It's funny. A lot of people, they'll sit back and they'll watch the game, and they're like, I don't get it as it's going through. Yeah. And what I try to tell them, it's you're creating a story, you're living a story, but it's more about the memories created than it is the actual play session. Because if you had a really good play session, months, even years later, remember that time when this happened and you did that, and you're just
you retell those stories like they were real life,
and you lived it. You really did, and it gets better every single time you think about it. The story just keeps getting embellished, and it gets better and better and better.
Like the size of the fish that you caught fishing last weekend. Yeah.
Exactly. And then you really did live that little piece of danger.
Yeah.
I tell people all the time that when I remember sessions from when I was a teenager, I don't remember me sitting at a table playing them. I actually remember my character in my mind's eye playing them.
Yep.
Which is insanity.
I remember taking
I am done to wash here.
a 9-hour road trip from New York up to Maine, and a college buddy of mine, we literally played, pocket D&D. We had a D20 sat between us.
So great.
And my buddy Matt was driving.
Yeah.
And he told the story, and I was a rogue breaking into a pirate ship.
Yeah, fan.
And
Thanks.
to this day, it felt like I actually did it. I remember the entire process and all the way through.
It's insane.
Yeah.
It's amazing how it does that. And no game does that.
There's not, the video games, I can't remember opportunities in video games.
No.
I remember, back in my early WoW days when, you kill something for a first time and you go through it, and you would remember that.
Yeah.
Sure.
But it's not like you were really there.
Yeah.
No.
And you remember how much fun you have playing, because I played video games a lot with my little brothers growing up. But I never remember like a single game that I played where I was like, remember when this happened in level 6? And that's never something that I've recalled, but I do more often than I'll remember what I did that day. I'll remember what I did in game. I'll remember I'll remember my character only got an hour's sleep before something came to kill us.
Yeah, exactly.
And now I'm still kind of upset about it.
Yeah.
But
no, it's amazing.
Yeah.
It's pretty amazing.
I'm really excited to play a game, to run a game for my brothers. I think it's going to be like a nice
It's so fun.
bonding experience.
And your first DM moment. How cool is that?
Yeah.
Paulos Epep says, surprised they are not using a larger brush for the first coat. It's just because I'm a glutton for punishment. I need Vallejo to send us some bigger brushes for this.
I was just thinking I could use a
'Cause-
half
Yeah.
inch right now.
Yeah, no, half
would've
inch,
been
we'd be
done.
done that by
Yeah.
now. Yeah, absolutely. And the truth of the matter is we're going to be done this in the 2 hours, and I'm just trying to stretch the time so that we have more time to talk to these wonderful folks. That's my excuse that I'm using. And we're going to have steak later, so that's exciting.
Yeah.
Are you cooking?
No, I should though. We could have. I should have. It's no secret that my studio is in my basement.
I've been grilling a lot this summer.
Have you?
So
Me
I have
too,
been,
right?
I have been grilling up steaks.
Have you ever tried a big green egg? The barbecue is called a big green egg.
No.
It's basically this big ceramic. Oh, it's so good. It's like using a tandoori oven to
Really?
barbecue. Yeah, it's so good.
I thought you were literally going to tell me about a big green egg.
No.
Yeah, I thought
well,
it was
it,
like-
look-
yeah.
well,
Yeah,
it's called
tell
a
me
big green
more.
egg. It looks like a big green egg.
I'm listening.
I am.
Go on.
Yes, you open it up and the dragon jumps out.
Yeah.
All right. I am there too, but
You're there
I
too?
definitely need
Yeah.
to
I
let
need
this
to-
dry out.
Dry a little bit.
So tell me about how you came to D&D, Noura.
I had found out. I mean, I'd always known. I kind of knew what D&D was growing up. I didn't know exactly. I knew it was a game with dragons, and you sit around. I didn't know anybody who played it.
Yeah.
And then I just kind of, and I still, I never knew anybody growing up who played it, and it just kind of like faded in my memory. And then into my adulthood, just a few years ago, it just like came up in conversation, like, oh, so and so plays D&D. We should play with him. And that person turned out to be Jason Carl, who is the storyteller for Vampire the Masquerade, and he was my first DM. So
Oh,
he ran
wow.
So you got
Strahd.
spoiled.
Wow.
I got
beginning.
so spoiled. Like,
Wow.
how do you, like,
Yeah,
where do you
no.
go from there? It's like, that's like, yeah.
Yeah, no. That's great.
So, and I was just hooked just from like game one.
And what was it about it that hooked you?
Want to try it or?
Well, I grew up doing theater and choir my whole life. So
Yeah.
I, just loving acting and loving like good storytelling.
Yeah.
It was something I really appreciated.
Yeah.
And then there's just something so childlike about it, like just
So
the
true, right?
imagination, being
Yep.
able to do that
Yep.
again.
Yeah.
That you don't have opportunities like that as an adult anymore.
No.
There aren't like
Yeah.
spaces where you can, unless it's your profession, where you can.
Right.
But then it's your job. So there's very few spaces where you can get together with your friends and use that creative spark of imagination anymore. And something about that was just so appealing. Like, I knew I would like it going in,
Yeah.
but I had no idea how much until I played the first game.
Yeah.
Do you remember how long your first session lasted? Was it a quick one or did it go on for a while?
No, all of our sessions, I don't think I've ever played a short, I think the shortest session I ever played was like a 3-hour session.
Gotcha.
They've always been, I think the longest session I ever played was like a 12-hour game with
Yeah.
with our
Yeah.
with our
Wow. With our friend.
With our
in the
friend.
other room.
friend. With our friend in the other room.
12 hours, eh? I haven't done a 12-hour game since like high school. I remember junior high. I'd go sleep at my buddy's place. Friday night we'd play till like 3 in the morning. We'd literally fall asleep at the table, wake up in the morning, like literally have like peanut butter and toast, and then play till lunch, have lunch, play till dinner, have dinner, play till like the
There's
whole
really, like,
weekend.
is there really anything better though than being like, I'm gonna be in my pajamas
Oh, it's
all day
so
long,
good.
and I'm gonna sit there and eat junk
So
food
good.
and just break for snacks and break for lunch and break for dinner, and then just know you're gonna play D&D with your friends all day.
And I actually can't remember the last time I played without it being a live stream, frankly.
Yeah, that's what happens, I guess, nowadays. I haven't played a long like home campaign in a while because of all the live streaming, I would say.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the live streaming is still a lot of
I
fun.
think yours looks better than mine.
They look
so.
great.
They look like twins.
They look so good. Can't wait to unleash it on my party.
Try.
I know.
I did miss a massive spot though that I just caught. So.
Oh, I know what happened.
That's what I came back.
I know.
Like,
I don't even
I
know
turn
if
these
this
things
is
around,
fully-
and I'm like, oh man.
This might need another minute
3 coats ago.
with that fan.
Okay, so this is what
Yours
it's
looks great.
looking like. It looks like a blue dragon at this point, but it will.
darker than ours.
Yeah, it's okay though. Yeah, I really gave her. All right, so I'm gonna take my dry brush, which is a smaller brush than it should be.
I lost my dry brush. It's on the floor.
Oh, did you?
Yes.
You want me to grab it, or you good?
I think I got it. Yes.
That's always the best on live stream. You're like, so I am going to go ahead. So for dry brushing, for those of you who don't know, you want to load your brush with paint, and then you want to wipe most of it off on a paper towel or a piece of paper, if you can. And basically, all you're doing is transferring dry residue to the surface of the miniature.
So when you say load your brush,
Yeah.
define that, because I know the very first time someone told me to do that, I went bloop,
Yeah, I know.
and it came out, and I was like,
Yeah.
I can't get it off.
Yeah, I want to get as much paint as I can, not up to the ferrule. So this is the ferrule here. You don't want to gunk that up, or it'll ruin your brushes. And so you want to get the paint pretty much halfway up your brush. And by load, I mean get a decent amount of paint, kind of like that, onto your brush.
There you go.
And then you want to wipe most of it off, which seems counterintuitive, but it is. And then you get this result.
And what color are you using?
I am using Glacier Blue,
Glacier Blue.
which I should have shown, and I will tell people. And there you go.
Thank you.
I usually have little pop-ups on the screen, but it's been that kind of week, so.
All good.
So I'm really liking the game color. It's
Have you not tried it before?
no, I've used it before. It's just
So good.
I have some older stuff.
Yep.
So what tends to happen is it will sit around the office, and
Yep.
then you have 5 or 6 people all dipping into your paints, so
Yeah.
they're never as
Yeah.
pristine as you wish they would be.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you have to hide your brushes because then they're destroyed.
Yeah. What I do find with Game Color, a couple things that I love about it, it stays wet in your palette longer. So if we go back to that blue, that heavy blue gray, it's still wet. It's still completely usable, which is nice for me. Some people may not enjoy that, but I like it a lot. And the dropper bottles, of course.
All right, so you're using this one.
Yeah, Glacier Blue, yeah. And this is going to bring your miniature up quite a bit. And what I do with my dry brush is I'll do a true dry brush, and so I'll wipe as much as I can off, and then if it's not transferring enough, then I will load it again, and then I'll add a bit more every time until I get kind of the right consistency. At this point, even what I'm doing is a mixture or a step between a dry brush and an overbrush. Overbrushing is literally wetting your brush, wiping off a little bit, and then wiping it over the detail, and so that you're getting some of that white. But the problem with that is it tends to streak, and so you want to be careful or find a happy medium in there where you're getting a decent amount of white onto your miniature.
Ooh, this is cool.
Yeah, it takes a lot more brush control
Yeah.
to do that.
Yeah, it does. It does. I mean, if you dry brush, eventually you'll get there. But this is just one of those tricks where you kind of find, okay, how much exactly do I? And then what I do find too is when I dry brush, I will start the dry brush. Once I've loaded my brush, I will start the dry brush on the areas that I want the brightest, because you'll always have the most paint depositing at that moment. So I'll go to a peak, like an elbow or like a corner that I know I want bright, and then I'll dry brush around that and then build from that so that I'm not, clogging the recesses with the light color.
Which really makes it pop.
It really does. This is when it starts to come alive.
And this is the part where new painters get excited. They're like, oh, look at that.
Yeah, look
Yeah.
what I'm doing.
Yeah. Well, this is where the magic starts for sure. Base coating for me is a means to an end. I've never been a huge fan. It's a little daunting, and
Yes, I really wish I had
a bigger brush. Yeah, I know. Next time, I'll call Alex up and tell him we need bigger brushes.
no pressure.
They gotta come from Spain, so.
I know even when we do a lot of terrain stuff, I'm using 4-inch wide house brushes.
Oh, sure.
And load them up.
Yeah.
Doing a 4x6 table covered in sand and glue, and you're
Yeah.
dry brushing that.
Oh,
guy
I know.
Got to get quick.
Yeah. See, so I am slowly adding a bit more paint to my brush. I'm feeling it out and seeing how it kind of hits the mini. But because it's going to be a white dragon, we want quite a bit of paint off this
Yeah,
dry
I'm
brush.
getting some really nice contrast here.
Yeah.
Now we could have gone with like an off-white and then washed it and then dry brushed it, but I like the levels of contrast and shadow that you get by doing it what we're doing here.
I feel like I'm getting all kinds of spoiled because not only did, like I mentioned, first DM, Jason Carl, I got my first mini painting lesson from you.
Why there you go. Yeah, and I don't consider myself an incredible painter. I'm just a practical painter, I guess. I like to get the best result I can the quickest way.
You know, that's a good way to put it. Practical painter.
I don't have a lot of patience for.
But it's so useful though,
spending
because
tons and tons of time.
not everybody has their thing that they have to do throughout the day, and you don't have all day to paint minis. But so
It's true.
it's really nice to be able to get a good technique going to get what you need for your games or.
Cut the corners or speed it up for sure. Little tricks.
I am blessed to work with a couple of Golden Demon painters.
Yeah.
And
Let's see.
I will paint my stuff, and I think it looks amazing. They're like, "Can I just spend 10 minutes on it?" And then I'm like, "Okay, that's the difference between you and me." And I'm like, "Look how good I did," and everybody's like, "You didn't do that."
You didn't do that. But it's amazing when we do. One of the amazing things that I kind of learned and noticed that when we started doing our Vallejo masterclasses at shows, that you would have people who have never painted a miniature before sitting beside people who have painted for years.
Yep.
And as I go through the techniques, they come almost looking the same. And it's amazing what just decent technique and learning those techniques will do for a painter. I guess with experience, you get to make some of those decisions yourself.
Sure.
So when I started painting, I watched a lot of tutorials.
Yep.
And that's where I got it. And eventually, even for color theory, like what colors to use, and we got a question about color theory earlier, about what colors to use and what we should do and so on and so forth. And at first, when I first started painting, it was all about watching tutorials and finding out, okay, well, if I want this color, what colors are they using to build up from there? And then eventually, you just kind of figure it out yourself.
It's fun to experiment.
And then it kind of becomes second nature a little bit.
I know for me, it was getting shamed into painting better because you would see these armies that you would sit down and play against, and you're like, well, I got an in one color.
Yeah.
And then you're like, all right, how do I get better? And then when you finally sit down and start doing it.
Yeah. I guess the point is you don't have to be an artist to be able to paint.
Nope. And a lot of people are scared of taking a bright
very
brush
much
to
so.
anything.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just basically dry brushing at this point, and there isn't a lot of technique. What should I say? I don't want to say talent because I guess it takes some talent, but I mean, there isn't a lot of practice that is required to do this.
Can I get
Yes.
With dry brushing, you're letting the miniature dictate what areas you're highlighting. Same with washes, right?
Yep.
You're letting the miniature dictate
Yeah.
what. When you get into light sources and wet blending and all that kind of stuff, it's a bit different. Even OSL and so on, but
Yeah, some of those, some of the light source models are amazing.
yeah. And we do some of that. Like I did some on the Frost Giant one that we did, and so on. But for the most part, again, for these miniatures, you want to get them on the table, impress your players, have them have a good time, and then
Give them that moment of terror.
yeah, a moment of terror. Especially big pieces like this, right? Like a big dragon, you want it to be impressive.
Yeah.
It's just a little dragon.
When they crest that mountain. Speaking of little dragons, Young White Dragon is a CR of 6. It's a challenge rating of 6, which isn't too bad actually. That means a party of 6th level could face it.
And then lock it in a small room so we can't move too much.
Yeah, yeah, right. That's the thing. I mean, I'd say maybe 50% of a dragon's like challenge rating, or is the fact that it can fly.
Yep.
And that's where I see a lot of DMs kind of fall short when it comes to when they run a dragon. It's actually bringing them down as much as they do, because then the players will, then it very quickly becomes susceptible. It depends. I mean, it depends what you're trying to do as a DM, I guess. How are we doing for time here? Oh gosh, yes. Still almost an hour. How are we doing, guys? They look amazing.
Right.
Yeah, they're coming along.
Holy crap.
Coming along.
So
You have
good.
to really tell the difference between.
Yeah, I can't wait till your brothers face a white dragon. Well, this mini I
Just
painted.
wait.
White dragons are fun. And from the lore, my understanding, I always go through a little bit of a story time for these things, but white dragons are quite bestial, actually. Of all the dragons, of all the chromatic dragons, white dragons tend to be one of the most sort of savage. They're cunning, but they're a lot more beast-like than some of the other dragon types. Very cool. And this happens too. You get into the bubble, the therapeutic painting bubble, and I forget that I'm on a live stream.
There's just silent.
You're super focused. 12 hours later.
Oso Babaiko, I don't know how to say that, whatever it is, asked if, does anyone know if the other videos for the Frost Gen are available? I'm pretty sure parts 1 and 2 and 3 are on the official D&D page. So for those of you that are watching, that are interested, D&D has made an exception for us with hosting to actually put our VODs on their YouTube channel.
That's great.
Oh, nice.
Because they believe what we do kind of, is something that's unique and they don't have other content of. So you can find all of our VOD versions of all the tutorials that we do on their channel. You can also find them on the RealmSmith TV YouTube channel as well at youtube.com/RealmSmith. But all 3 are on the D&D one. I still have to upload the 3rd to the RealmSmith channel, but I will do that soon. So you guys can check them out there, as well as all of our other ones. As well on our channel, we also have our Beholder tutorial series and our Owlbear tutorial series, as well as a bunch of terrain stuff as well. Okay, so I am done on the Glacier Blue.
I'm not even close.
Neither am I.
He's gonna turn out.
That's all right. You'll get yours later.
It's all good.
And then we'll keep going.
I'm almost
He's
there.
a little darker than I might have wanted, but that's okay. I trust in my process. And that's the thing too. I don't test paint these before the streams. I like to kind of solve those problems as I go, so that people can kind of learn from that. Hopefully, all my mess ups.
There's no mess up.
There is
Happy little mistakes.
happy little mistakes. He actually looks a lot more blue on camera too than he does in real life. All right. Next, we're just gonna keep trucking here. We're gonna go to Off-White. Put a little Off-White in the palette. So John, what brought you to D&D? So what was your kind of first?
God, I think I'm going to date myself here. I would say I was playing in the red box.
Wow.
When it first came out. And I still have my my dice with my crayon filling.
Do you really?
Oh, yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, I still have those at home. And
Amazing.
that was kind of my first take. And I had a couple of friends that were into it, but we didn't play that often. We were more into who could build the most badass castle and put the most possible traps in it and hide things into it. And then we would each try to run through the other guy's castle.
Oh,
and we
that's
kind of made it up as we went.
See,
and to
that's
see
why
how
I love
far
D&D.
and see how far we could go before we got
Yes.
squished.
So basically
Or
build your own Tomb of
scared.
Horrors.
Yeah, pretty much.
That is awesome.
And for me, that was the fun bit. So, I had all the source books, and then I had every single, even the old Palladium books and everything. And then you started collecting all that stuff.
Yeah.
And you're just like, any old sketch of any medieval weapon you could find, any old trap book you could find, artwork, that's where I was kind of really into it.
That's awesome.
That's cool.
And then and that was my thing. And then I did that probably in middle school, and high school started. And then I'm a big guy, so football and basketball kind of took over my life.
Yeah.
And then the girls came, and that kind of took over my life.
They do that.
Yes. And then I ended up going to a U.S. Merchant Marine Academy in Kings Point, New York, one of the 5 federal academies, like going to Annapolis or West Point.
Yeah.
And D&D definitely wasn't cool there, or at least I didn't think it was.
Yeah.
And then people started coming out of the closet a little bit. and you were like...
I like hearing that.
And you're like, all right, so what's going on? So, yeah.
That's awesome.
A fun story. Not a lot of privacy at the academy.
Yeah, I bet.
So my senior year, I was the, quote, president of the scuba team, which was basically we had a private space to keep our scuba gear.
Yeah.
But that's where we played D&D because we could lock the door and...
Awesome.
Oh, no way.
And there were 6 of us, and we all sat around and played, and it was a blast.
That's awesome.
And then, years later, now everybody's playing, and it's cool to talk about. And you walk around and you see the T-shirts, and and the conventions came, and the the AAA actors come out and start proclaiming their D&D-ness.
Yep.
And suddenly it's mainstream.
Yep. It's crazy, right?
So how long was your longest campaign that you played there? When you were in the scuba closet?
Oh, in the scuba closet?
I love the scuba closet. That's awesome.
Probably about 4 months we played.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And it was a blast. Now we still scuba dive too, but it was great having a room that we could go down and
That's awesome.
For sure.
and play.
Just a note on this off-white. So basically, with the Glacier Blue, I did an all-over dry brush. Not really concerned about where I was dry brushing. With the off-white, I'm trying to hit kind of the mid areas. So it's not going to be our extreme highlight. It's not going to be the lightest areas on our miniature, but it's going to be kind of the mid areas on the miniature, if that makes sense. Okay. And so I'm focusing, for example, on the top of the haunches, on the legs, on the knees.
This one?
Yeah. On the back of the spikes.
Is this like all the skeletal structures?
Yeah. Yeah. So basically what I'm doing, it's still pretty liberal because I want to lighten this up quite a bit, but I want to focus or really kind of dig into the higher areas of the miniature. Okay. Doing a light dry brush, for example, on the wing membrane here, but then really going hard on the spines, for example. Just because you don't want everything to be flat. And so you want that Glacier Blue to still kind of show through.
I launched my brush across the room.
You want all those colors to kind of show through in certain areas. So now we're starting to get a little bit more.
This is a really fun studio, by the way.
Thank you very much.
It is.
It's just our little humble studio.
I feel like I'm being looked at, and I'm like, oh,
Because you are.
Yeah, and we have a black dragon in the corner that I want to put up too on the ground there.
nice.
Oh.
The
I just
WizKids
noticed
foam
that.
dragon, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's fun. This is where we play our live streams on Mondays too.
Nice.
Which is tomorrow night, 7:30 Eastern time. We'll have to get you guys back for a live stream. I know you guys couldn't stay for tomorrow, but
That just gives us an excuse to come back.
That's right.
I'm throwing brushes around too. And this is where I try and reach for it with my fractured rib.
Oh no. No, don't do that.
Good. Good. So good. And I'd like to say that it was a valiant exercise of some sort that I fractured it, but it wasn't. It was a slip and slide.
Like an actual.
Yeah, like an
That's
actual-
exactly what
yeah.
I said. I was like,
Yeah.
was it an actual?
Yeah,
Are you
like
actually
I
slip
went-
and sliding?
Yeah, like I went to a cottage last weekend with adults. It was an adult cottage party thing weekend. And they had a slip and slide on Sunday. And I, instead of putting my elbows down, I went full spread eagle, Superman, just smash on my ribs. And I get up, I was like, but I finished the obstacle course. It was part of an obstacle course. Off-white, this one?
Here,
Yeah.
this one.
Yeah.
So I finished the obstacle course. I took it like a man, and then I went and cried like a baby. No, I didn't cry like a baby. I didn't even. Frankly, I thought I had bruised it. I have bruised my ribs before, and I was like, it's just a bruise. And then 5 days later, I'm like, man, it's getting worse.
Oh no.
So I went to the hospital last night, and lo and behold, fractured rib.
Yep. And then they tell you, you got a fractured rib.
Yeah.
And that's about all you can do about it.
Yeah, and there's nothing
What do I
we
do
can
about
do
it?
about it.
Well,
Same
try not to
thing.
breathe too hard.
Yeah, manage the pain is basically it. The worst about it, honestly, is sneezing.
Oh no.
Man, it hurts so bad
Or
when I
laughter.
have to sneeze or laughing. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
I'm a
exactly.
challenge
Yeah.
now.
Yeah. Try and make me laugh. Yeah. All right, so you can see, folks, it's getting there. We're getting it lighter and lighter.
Yeah.
I think that's all I'm gonna do with off-white, maybe. That didn't sound too sure. That's my thing too. Is I'm a bit of a perfectionist, so it's a little hard to kind of let things go here. But
You don't need to know yet. You do it. If it's not right, go back and touch it up.
that's right.
Or flip the table.
Or flip the table. This would be
Whatever
quite the
you-
table to flip, but yeah. I can do it. Craft rib and all.
That's cool. So
D&D.
where did you get this table?
I built it.
Did you?
It is,
Yeah.
It is gorgeous.
Thank you very
It
much.
is.
So we have a tutorial coming out soon. Hopefully, I'm trying to build. So under here, this is just covered with like black material,
Okay.
but I have two basically wooden planks or whatever, sleeves, and then it's gonna have a RealmSmith logo in the middle of it. But
Nice.
yeah, that's just taking a little bit longer. And
I think you need some terrain here.
but yeah, I do need some terrain.
Ah.
Do you know anybody I can speak to?
I might know a guy who can hook you up.
But we there's electrical on the sides of it and all that fun stuff.
This is great.
So yeah, we'll be releasing that tutorial at some point. But we looked at tables, we looked at buying one, or maybe even looking for sponsorship. I was like, you know what? We're a crafting channel. Why don't we craft one? So that's what we decided to do.
Yeah, I'm that kind of guy too.
If you can do it yourself.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm like, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
You can make that for that, but you
Yeah.
don't take into
Often,
account the 4 weeks of labor.
Yeah,
That
right?
one.
Yeah, exactly. This actually took me like 4 days. If I were to look
That's
at
great.
it wasn't too bad. It was just plywood, and then good. Worked out. All right, so now I am going to take a dead white, which is the lightest highlight that we have, and I am going to focus that dead white mostly on the peaks. So all the peaks and the edges, that will be the brightest. So that is going to be the shoulder here, along the side of the arm, the toes, and I'm keeping it away from the recesses and the areas that, if light were coming from the top, would be obscured. So I'm really just going on the highest areas and adding this dead white as the final highlight.
I am 2 highlights behind you.
It's all good.
I finally got this guy. He's looking pretty membraned.
Membrane.
It's looking insane in the membrane.
Insane in the brain. Oh, karaoke.
No,
It follows us everywhere.
I believe it does.
So funny, because the first time I met Matt at GaryCon, when we were sitting at GaryCon, when we first met,
Yeah, that's right.
we talked
did
karaoke.
we played at GaryCon
Yeah.
together.
And we talked about karaoke that night.
That's right.
Matt
Oh
Mercer.
yeah, me, you, and Matt were talking about
Yeah.
karaoke. We're like, when
Yeah.
does this happen? I think we were looking up places
I think
that
we were.
night,
I
and we're
think
like,
we were.
the nearest one's 2 hours away.
Yeah, that's right. We were. We were like, oh, that's too bad.
Like,
Or they were all. Well, actually, the closer ones I think were closed at that point because it was
yeah,
late in the
it
evening
was late.
after their
It was
game.
like the very last night, I think.
Yeah. That was a great night. Man, GaryCon.
That was fun.
GaryCon gets me in all the feels. One of our Kickstarter goals, I think there are a couple seats left, is to come and play at a private celebrity game at GaryCon.
Ooh,
And I'll put you on the spot, Noura, and ask you if you want to play with us.
I would be honored to
Oh,
play.
that's so sweet. And John,
It would
too.
be my pleasure.
I would love to come as well.
But we, so basically they win a ticket. They win passes to GaryCon, thanks to Luke Gygax.
Thanks, Luke.
Thank
And
you, Luke, I guess.
and then they get to sit and play with some celebrities,
Nice.
whoever the backers are. And we already have a couple, I think, gone already at that level. It's very exciting.
Yeah, it's definitely
GaryCon's a very special con. It doesn't have the same kind of...
really special.
It's it's definitely where the insiders go to play.
That's a perfect way to put it. I find it's the place where the kind of the celebrities go to be fans. Does that make sense? Like where the industry folks go to really just enjoy D&D.
It makes total sense because I know I work every day, so it's like we don't have a lot of time to play.
Yep.
But having a couple of days to go off and be a kid again with
it really does have its own vibe.
It really does.
Yeah.
It's very unique. It's a very unique con.
Yeah.
I would highly recommend it. I'm getting blown out a little bit on the light here, but he's looking like a white dragon.
I gotta really say shout out to Carl here for being so chill.
He is.
He's chilling around my bracelets.
He's just like
he's like chilling around my
That's
bracelets.
so
there is no way I thought you were going to be able to paint with that on.
No,
your
I
arm.
know.
Me neither, to be honest.
And I'm like,
It's like
figured he'd be
this
gone
is
a long
gonna
time
be
ago.
cool for 2
Yeah.
seconds, and then we're gonna have problems.
That's so funny that he's just.
No, Carl is chilling.
He is now a bracelet. Carlton is his full name.
Oh, Carlton.
No, it's his full name. Carl's short.
Carl is for sure.
Yeah, Ethan calls him
Carlton
Carl.
was his full name.
Yeah.
So now when I want to be angry at him and discipline him, I call him Carlton.
Yes, Carlton.
Gotcha.
So why Carlton?
I don't know. My son's into Fresh Prince, which is hilarious.
It is
Is
hilarious.
that really
my
the
kids,
reason?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, my kids watch Friends and Fresh Prince of Bel-Air
I
on
loved Fresh
Netflix.
Prince of Bel-Air.
I know. It's just amazing how all that stuff's coming around thanks to Netflix.
So my son is 17, and I guess about last summer I introduced him to Eddie Murphy.
Oh
And
yeah.
we went all the Beverly Hills Cop, worked our way through, and it's just like so much fun. And then you start hearing all the old jokes coming back again.
Oh man,
some
those
of
are
his
the,
old stand-up is
you know
really
what?
good.
Like, and that's the thing, eh? It's with me, even with my son. It's like I'm waiting for those milestones that I can start watching those movies and those things with them and sharing some of those experiences.
Yeah, because I remember those with my dad.
Oh
For
yeah,
sure.
totally. Like we watched Top Gun for the first time a couple months ago,
That
and
was my movie.
Yeah.
I'd say my single best memory of my father was watching Blazing Saddles
aw,
and the fart scene.
yeah.
And my dad just laughing so
Oh,
hard
that's the
that he
best,
couldn't
eh?
breathe, and I was just laughing
man.
too. And as a young boy, laughing about fart jokes with your dad, that was just awesome.
Is there anything better? Let's be honest.
I was not allowed to watch a lot of things growing up, but for some reason, my dad would let me stay up and watch SNL with him.
Really?
Yeah. And so I used to, that was what I
hilarious.
used to look forward to. Which is so
is
inappropriate
so
for a little
funny.
kid, but
Yeah.
it explains a lot of my humor now.
Yeah.
Explains a lot.
Okay, so we are using tan for the inside of the mouth. And so I am base coating the top of the mouth. We're being careful not to hit all those awesome areas that we just already painted. But we're just jabbing the brush in there, trying to get that tan in there. Oh, and like what I just did, I said I shouldn't do, which I do all the time. So we're just going to let that dry in that mouth there. And then I'm going to add some Rosy Flesh in there as well, and then I'm going to wash it with a sepia wash.
When I used a sepia wash for the first time, I was like,
Yeah.
why? And then I did it, and I was like, oh.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
This is-
Oh, yeah. Sepia is my favorite wash.
yeah.
It's going to be great on these teeth. Yeah, so I'm going to get Rosy Flesh. This is the first time I'm going to use the detail brush that I brought. Here.
Remind me after the...
That looks amazing.
Thank
Can
you.
I show them yours too?
Of course.
Yeah, yours looks great.
Wow. It's gorgeous, and it's a
got
lot
some
whiter
real
than mine.
contrast.
Yeah, look at that.
Told you she was going to destroy us.
Wow. Very good.
Thank you.
Very,
Got
very
some
good.
very good teachers over here.
Oh, I think the Padawan has become the Jedi.
Remind me after the...
Yes. Then we use dead.
After this white, yeah, the
the
dead,
dead
white.
white, dead
Is
white.
that...
That's this
off-white?
this one.
Aha.
Sorry, I was hiding it. So I am going into the tongue, and I'm just on either side highlighting it with Rosy Flesh here, just so it really sticks out. And then, like I said, then I'm going to wash it with sepia. And that's going to deaden it down a little bit, but maybe I won't wash it. I kind of like it the way it is, actually. Yeah, I'm not going to wash it. Okay. After that Rosy Flesh. Sorry, folks, I am not paying attention at all. Mikey says, doing an awesome paint job. I'm jealous enough. How to find out Jason is doing it with a fractured rib. Awesome. Somebody said, is this an R-rated stream? Did we drop something?
I don't
even think we did.
Did we?
Maybe they want it to be, and they're just asking. I was in the room asked that. That's funny. All right. We're doing so good. 626. All right. Next, I'm going to do the teeth. With the teeth, I'm going to go off-white. This is going to be a cool little effect. Actually, I don't have to take any more off-white because it's still wet in my palette. And I'm going to paint each tooth off-white. And then after that, I am going to wash it with sepia. And it's they're going to look like gnarly dragon teeth. So do you play D&D a lot still, John, or what's your...
I don't play as much as I'd love to. I probably get to play maybe 2 or 3 times a year now.
Really, eh?
Yeah.
We need to change that.
I agree. We actually, Johnny, one of the guys in my office, he's been running a little stream game in Charlottesville, Virginia.
Yeah.
And he's starting to get some traction, and he's like, we should play in the office. And I'm like, yeah, we absolutely should.
Totally.
And then I'm like, we have Gen Con to do, so everybody get back to work.
Yeah.
But now you just have to make time for it.
You do, especially if you're in the industry.
Yep.
Just to be able to speak to it and have fun and all that stuff. And I am loving how white your dragon got. I am a little jealous. And I think it's because you put less wash on it than I did.
I think it was in the wash process, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to let that off-white dry, and then I'm going to take electric blue, and this is what I'm going to paint the first color in his eyes with. So basically we're just going to, because they have these really cool bright blue eyes, so I'm just going to go in and paint the eyeball this blue. Sorry, Noura, you were saying?
I don't remember.
Okay. My bad. And then after I do this blue, I'm going to go in with the glacier blue and do kind of like a center area in it.
So Noura, I know you jump around to a lot of different games. Do you like the variety? Does changing it up make it more fun for you? Do you wish you could focus a little more on anything? Or?
There is something really fun about just, having I usually have maybe 5 or 6 characters ready to go at different, or I'll just change at the level. So I'll be able to jump into whatever game as needed. And that's always fun because I like seeing how different DM styles, and just being able to play with a different group of people than you're usually you wouldn't normally get to play with. And that's always nice. I mean, a spontaneous game, I'll never say no if I'm free to playing D&D, That being said, I really love like a nice long campaign. Just getting a lot of, I like the character development. I like being able to role play a lot of backstory into games with my friends. And then you do build those like bonding moments where, you remember both what you and your friend's character started out like. And seeing how that changes.
Develops, yeah. Okay, so I'm just adding some sepia wash to these teeth and being very careful not to let it bleed onto the rest. But that will add some really cool color contrast, because this is the first kind of, except for the tan, this is the first kind of warm color, earthy color that we're adding. And then it makes those teeth really pop. Getting blown out a little bit with my overhead light here, but we should definitely at the next. Are you guys at PAX?
No.
East? Oh, West. Sorry, PAX West.
Unfortunate.
Oh no, Unplugged. I'm saying. Sorry.
No,
December.
So in Philly. There's a chance I might be
Yeah.
there.
When is that?
December.
Oh, December. Maybe.
Because if you are, I'll get you onto into the painting thing. You guys can do another one with me.
Oh, heck
That'd be
yeah.
fun.
That'd
I
be
would
fun.
love to do that.
All right, so I've added that
Nice.
sepia. It looks great there, and then I'm just going to add a little bit of blue wash into the eyeballs,
That looks great.
and that'll darken up the eye, eye socket.
Cool.
Yeah.
I
And
love his
then-
gnarly teeth.
Right?
This turned out great.
Yeah, that's another situation where you were saying don't worry about the overall too much.
Yeah.
Get the face right, and the
Yeah.
rest of it just kind of comes.
Yeah. Sorry, Noura.
What was
Can you
I?
forget again?
I did. I was going to say that I just found out. I just paid close attention to the little spikes on the
Yeah,
elbow, and
yeah.
it's really. I just love like the little detail.
Yeah. That's very cool. All right, so I'm going to let that blue wash. So I've pulled a little bit of blue wash into the eyes. I'll go into zoom in a little bit here so you guys can see close up here. So I've a little blue into the eye, so it's really making that blue pop.
Yep, looks
Yeah.
great.
I'll go in there with
Amazing.
electric blue again. And then I'll highlight it with a little bit of glacier blue, but you guys can also see how we've done the teeth here. Again, this light is blowing it out a little bit, but that's okay. The rune says that dragon looks amazing. Thank you so much. Okay, and then while we're waiting for that wash to dry, final kind of thing is I like to go real contrasty on the spikes. So I'm going to do black spikes and toenails
Ooh.
and claws. And so that black will really pop against the white. You got to remember too that when you're painting these, I like to call it tabletop standard. Some people say like if you have it at an arm's length, the way that it looks at arm's length is the best kind of what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of determining factor, I guess, to whether it looks done or not, because that is where people are going to see it. People are going to see it at about 1 to 2 feet away from you on the table, and if it looks good at that distance, you're probably good to go.
I think that should be at the dead white or the.
Yeah.
That's that one.
And then I'm using my kind of larger brush here for the black on the claws. Ever since I said steak, I've just been thinking steak. I actually don't think I've eaten today. I actually was rushing to prep for the stream and forgot to eat, so I'm very excited. I will get one of everything. Back in the day, what campaign did you guys play, John? You remember?
I don't even remember, to be honest with you.
We did Greyhawk for a while, and then we did Ravenloft, which was such a cool departure. And then do you remember Al-Qadim? It was like the desert, the kind of the Arabian.
Yeah, because I was going to say that that's Arabic.
Yeah.
Yep, I know the universe. I never played it.
Yeah, it was really cool. But it was all like desert, and it was awesome. It was a lot of fun. You can see how those black claws really contrast against the
That looks really good.
rest of it. Thank you. All right.
I think I'm about done with the dead white part.
Looks amazing.
Thank you. So what was
so
I'm
proud.
a little behind on your.
Next I did the inside of the mouth.
Ah.
I did a base of tan and then Rosy Flesh highlight just all around the like on the tongue.
Okay.
just to make that tongue pop a bit. So what do you guys think of Toronto so far?
I love
I know you guys are
Toronto.
just blowing in, blowing out,
Yeah.
but
This is my second time here.
is it? Yeah?
Yeah. It's lovely. There's just has its own kind of vibe to it.
I was amazed how clean it is.
That's what everybody
Yeah,
says. I was
it
about to
is.
ask that.
It is.
Just driving around, it's like,
Yeah.
it's spotless. It reminds me of Singapore in some ways. It's just
Really? Singapore's
just
clean, really?
very clean.
Really?
Yeah. They call
Everybody's super nice.
They call it a fine city because if you litter, you'd find. You do anything,
Really,
you
eh?
get fined.
Really?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I bet. But that's good. I love that. I love that people can see how clean it is. It's funny because Toronto's dirty compared to the rest of this area, right? Because I live in a suburb of Toronto, so
Sure, a
it's
major
like,
city's gonna be.
Yeah, but that's it's good.
But I mean, you
Cool.
compare that
But
to
LA
a lot of
or
yeah.
New York
Yeah.
or all those other cities I've been to.
But people are so nice. I like that.
Thank you. It's all a front. It's part of our plan
It's
for
all
world
an elaborate
dominance.
ruse.
Yeah.
Well, you're doing a fine job. Got me calm.
Yeah, you fooled me.
It's all our plan.
I mean, even the airport customs was relaxing and coming in. I love the machines that they have. They got these machines that basically automatically take your pictures.
Yeah, yeah,
And so, I'm 6'7". I'm a tall dude.
sure.
So it automatically comes up, and once I realized it was coming up, I'd
Yeah.
start standing on my tiptoes,
Yeah.
seeing if I could.
See how high I could go? Yeah,
It made it. Got all the way up there.
that's amazing. I always love coming back into Canada when I'm driving from the States because it's funny. The last time we came back, no, it wasn't the last time. Second last time when we were coming back from, we were visiting Dwarven Forge. Coming back from Origin, no, or not Origins. Coming back from Philly, actually, from PAX last year, and we get to the thing, and it's dark. It's nighttime, and the border guard goes, "Where are you coming from?" We told him we were coming from a nerd convention, playing D&D and all this kind of stuff. He's like, "You want to hear a story? Want to hear a funny story?" Literally, and we're like the only ones in the line, right? So obviously we have the time to do this. But he's like, "You want to hear a funny story?" I was like, "Oh no, is this one of these like, want to hear a funny story? Get out of the car kind of thing?"
Oh.
But it wasn't. So he's like, when I was young, I had a friend who used to play D&D with, and he said he passed away, which wasn't the funny part. That was the sad part. But then he's like, then I went into the woods and we were camping, and there was a pond nearby, and we went to the pond, and I swore I saw a centaur walk out of the woods and into the pond and like swim into the water. And he's like, my friend used to play a centaur.
All right, that's weird.
Oh.
And I was like, it was the funniest like border crossing experience ever.
That's a pretty awkward exchange, though. It seems like such a
Personal
that's
thing.
a personal story.
Yeah.
And then, by the way, have a nice
And I'm
day.
like,
I know.
well, see you
He's
later.
like, welcome to Canada.
Welcome to Canada.
I was like, I love this country. And weed is clearly legal.
Yes.
Oh, it was good.
All right, I
It
got
was
the
funny.
tan part down. Let's get some Rosy Flesh going.
Rosy Flesh. I'm almost done all my deals here. I'm way off camera here. I'm a little off kilter here with my rib. All right.
I think when you look at gaming in general, and you look, it's definitely role play and doing that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
I think real people come out way more
Yeah.
than their make believe stuff.
Yep.
People that are very tight and closed up.
Yep. Come out
Once
of the
they
shells.
get into
Yep.
it and start doing, and they'll do things, and you wonder if they would do it in real life or not. And
Yep.
then next thing you know, it's like, wow, there's a whole lot of you coming out in that character.
Yep. And that's why most people for the first characters play somebody who's a lot like themselves, just less, maybe less held back. I find.
I find the more characters create, the more like just balls to the walls and like crazy,
Yep.
and you just
Yeah.
all of the weird parts of you come out.
Yeah, it's so true, right? What deep dark closet can I
Oh my
can I pull
goodness.
this character out of? deep dark corner of my psyche.
Also, I feel like you just feel more comfortable playing something completely different.
Yeah. Yep.
I tend to play rogues and thieves. That seems to have been what I've done my entire life.
That's very interesting, John.
my
Would you like to
main
speak about that a
tune-
little bit more?
Novak, which is the first 3 letters of my first name and last name, kind
Yeah.
of mushed up.
Yeah.
And I've been playing that character, God, forever. In one way or another.
Yeah.
And I'll jump into something completely intent on playing something else, and then before I end up, it reverts back to
Right.
what he is.
Novak. Yeah. That's awesome.
What do you usually play?
I usually play like good characters, paladins, monks, kind of the upstanding kind of
That's not
heroes. Yeah, no, that's me.
Me.
That's totally me.
What were you doing that last game? You were eating the eyeball for...
Oh yeah, you eat a lot of eyeballs.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, what are you doing?
That's awesome. Eating eyeballs.
Just like little after the kill. Wait, don't let it go bad.
So wrong.
We're like, what are you doing?
Don't try that at home,
I
kids.
tend to play, I started out playing clerics a lot.
Really, eh?
Clerics for a long time. And then I found, I played a changeling Tempest cleric that was, even though she was a cleric, she was just chaotic evil and just a weirdo. And
Yeah.
that started my descent into the madness of my characters, and now they're just like obnoxious,
I love it.
terrible people.
It's so good. That's so funny.
I just think it's fun. You don't get to
No.
do it in real life. Might
Yep.
as well.
Yep.
You don't?
We'll save that for off-camera discussion.
That's good. All right. I am just going to go in here with Glacier Blue. I've made that electric blue pop a little bit in the eye, and now I'm just going to go in and dot it with Glacier just so it sticks out a bit.
Did you use off-white for the teeth?
Yes.
All right, what'd you do for the mouth?
Tan.
Tan. And then Rosy Flesh for highlights.
Gotcha.
Although I wound up doing tan, but then Rosy Flesh for the tongue. I don't know if that...
Yeah, sure.
There is no correct way. I just fill mine full of blood and paint it red.
Yeah.
There you
that's
go.
it. I think that's a wrap on my white dragon here, folks.
Oh, it's awesome.
Who is more of a light blue dragon, but it's okay.
The black tips on that really
Yeah, it really kind of finishes it off, eh?
stand out.
Now we do have a stand here, so this is what happens. I usually blow through these in the first hour and a half, and then I like, oh, the stand. So the stand is cool. It looks like kind of like a glacier sort of situation. I would totally use Vallejo snow effects on top of this, which I did for the Frost Giant, which was fun. So I may go ahead and base coat that while you guys are finishing that up.
All right.
Looking good, John. Looking good.
Yeah.
She, it, not sure what it is.
My day dragon.
Love it.
Carl the dragon.
Carl the dragon. Oh yeah, Carl's just around your wrist. Eh? Still.
Carl is still being my
Wow.
bracelet right now.
He's out.
So weird. It's so strange
Carl's just chilling.
that he's just hanging out.
Next time we'll have the Carl cam.
The Carl cam. We need a Carl
Still
cam.
chilling.
Sure. Still here.
Still chilling.
That's good. So sorry, are you on a current live stream now, Noura? Is there anywhere people can catch you now?
Right now, you can catch me on LA by Night
Yeah.
on Geek and Sundry.
Yeah. How often is that on?
Well, that's on every Fridays, but they just wrapped their 3rd season,
Right.
and they're into their epilogues right now. So,
Okay.
which are still every Friday night at 8.
Yeah.
And then season 4, we're waiting for see if and when that's
That's a go. Yeah.
formally will be announced.
Right on.
And then Have Dice Will Travel, again, if you follow at Dice Will Travel, we'll have updates on when and where that will premiere.
Right on.
And that will be exciting.
That's awesome.
Teeth is done.
What's the next show you're at, John?
That's a wonderful question. We may be at PAX Unplugged. I'm really not sure. Oh no, that's not true. We're going to do the Alliance Open House.
Yeah, I'll be there
September.
for that. We'll see you there for sure.
Yeah. So we'll have a booth set up over there, and
Yep.
we'll be showing off our wares and running demos and doing that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And then,
Good.
And then we're hoping to be able to go to PAX.
Yep.
And then we might do a historical show this year too. Thinking about it, we used to do.
Which show? Sorry.
We used to do like Fallen and Historicon a lot back in my prior endeavors.
Yep.
And it might be fun to go back again.
Cool.
We've got some new toys that we'd like to show off.
Nice. It's exciting. So exciting.
Yeah, that mouth really makes a difference putting that up in there.
Yeah, it does. It's amazing how those little details at the end, the tail end, really bring it all together.
Yeah, and I did some sloppy painting, so I'm putting some of that light purple just to kind of fix some things.
Yeah.
And
Oh, that's what I forgot. I forgot the pink that we're going to do on the wings. I forgot that part.
Oh, on the under part?
Yeah, although I don't know if it's going to look right because mine's so blue. Yours would look much better with it. But see on here,
Try it on this
they
one.
have like pink.
Yeah,
of
on
a
the
pinky
under.
sort of.
On the under.
Yeah, on the under part.
Of the wing.
Yeah, you know what? I might do it. I'm gonna do it.
Go for it.
I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna try Rosy first, and then if that's not enough, I'll go to tan first.
Okay.
Basically, I'm just gonna dry brush it on the end of the wing here, and kind of work it up. Now with this, I am trying to get into the recesses, so not a true dry brush. This is just more of a light dusting. Ooh, that looks good. Okay.
yeah, it's popping nicely.
Yeah, that actually looks good. Better than I thought it would.
So, for lights for you, do you like daylight bulbs? What do you generally use for your lighting?
Yeah, daylight's good. I don't like fluorescence. Personally, obviously the best is a mix of both, right? True sunlight is UV and it's incandescent. So, but I tend to use incandescent bulbs. Although with LEDs, it really depends.
I'm getting serious now. I put on the reading glasses.
Oh, it's over.
I'm at the part where I'm giving the dragon a manicure.
Nice.
And what color are you
He's
going
getting a mani-pedi. What?
with? What color are you going with?
I went with black.
I feel like going something crazy just to be different.
I am gonna
Red.
do just a little bit on the edge here too.
Give him some bloody claws.
Yeah, it looks alright. A little pink in there. Typically I would do that with an airbrush. I'd come back in and
Oh yeah, that looks good.
yeah, like it's just a bit of a gives it a little
Gives
bit
a little
of
more depth.
yeah, a little bit more color.
So, do you tend to use a lot of airbrushing?
I don't do it enough. I should do it more. I use it for mostly like OSL, so object source lighting.
Mm-hmm.
I'll use it for that. Or terrain, or larger pieces. The last time I used my airbrush was a piece I just finished, which actually I have here that I can't show in public yet. It was D&D and Adobe, the makers of Photoshop, got together, and they held a contest for people to design a creature from Undermountain.
Oh,
very
cool.
And so the winner sculpted it and released it, and then WizKids printed it or had it built, and they sent it to me for painting.
Awesome.
So I just finished it, and I used an airbrush on that. So big pieces like that, show pieces, things like that, that I tend to. I'd like to do it more.
You're gonna have to show me off camera.
Yeah, I will. It's actually just about to be sent out. So, but there's no little pink in there.
Amazing.
Oh, it's okay.
So
Thank you.
it's okay.
It's okay. Awesome. After this base dries, I'll probably wash it with a black wash just so it looks more like stone. Then I'll dry brush it, and then I'll add Vallejo snow effects on top of it, so it looks like a kind of a snowy mountain top. That's the plan. So yeah, so for those of you that are watching that haven't been watching the whole time, if you missed part of this, this will be available on our Twitch for a little while. So the RealmSmith, so twitch.tv/RealmSmith. It'll also be available at our YouTube page, which is youtube.com/RealmSmith, as well as the D&D official YouTube page as well. And you can catch this one and all of the previous ones that we've done on our YouTubes. You can also follow us at RealmSmith TV on all the socials, as well as I just talked about the Twitches, but you can check out our Kickstarter, which we're very excited about. Actually, our first stretch goal, we just posted a video about it. We're building an online adventure builder so that you can navigate all our adventures on a world map, so a map of the region. But the cool part about it is that DMs, after playing our module, can go online and they fill out a survey about the progress their players have made in it, and they submit that, and then that educates our future campaign. So whatever they're doing in our campaigns will change the future history of the world, and so we're all building the world together, which is very exciting. So you can check out our Kickstarter at realmsmith.tv/Kickstarter. Where can they catch you guys? Because we're closing in on 7 o'clock.
Well, they can go to monsterfightclub.com and check out everything we are. There are links to everything we do going on from there.
Awesome.
And then we're on all the socials, Facebook, Twitter.
Monster Fight Club, check it out.
And then you can find me at Noura Logical, Noura Logical, on the Instagrams and the tweets.
On the Instagrams and
on the grams and the tweets.
You're not on the Facebooks,
I'm not on the Facebooks, unfortunately.
No, that's okay.
I might go back one of these days, but for right now, I'm very happy to not be on it.
And they can catch you on Geek and Sundry.
Yes.
Good. Fridays at?
Fridays at 8.
8 Pacific.
Pacific, yes.
Pacific time, yeah, I know. I always have to qualify my Easterns.
Yeah. Yeah, the epilogue I was on aired, but you can catch them on the VODs and if you're subscribed on Twitch.
Yeah, good. Okay, cool. Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us, guys.
Thank you for having me.
It's been such a
Thanks
blast.
for having us. This one.
Thank you. Can I show people your
Yeah, sure. The
creations?
claws are not completely done.
Yeah, yours is so awesome.
You were so ahead of me.
Thank you very much.
This is Noura's. It is wonderful.
And I still have to go back and...
We might have to karaoke after steak. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I'm totally down for that. I think we'll have to leave Carl here if we're going to karaoke. But
you think so? They might not mind.
I still got ways more.
Oh, it's good.
But it's come along.
It's great.
That looks awesome.
Looks really good. So great.
Again, love the detail on these.
They're so good,
so
and
cool.
it does so much of the work for you, right?
Yep.
On these, I like yours better than mine, Noura. I gotta say, yours is much more of a white dragon than mine is.
I definitely think it was the wash process.
Yeah, I went a little heavy-handed on the wash, and maybe not as heavy-handed as I should have on the...
But it does make, I mean, granted it's supposed to be whatever it's supposed to be, but the contrast of it, I think, is nicer than mine because you can really...
The depth, you mean?
The depth of it really pops on that one.
Well, thank you. That's good.
I think it was great.
Ooh, you even did black tips on the little elbow spikes?
Yeah, I did elbow spikes and wing spikes.
Yeah, I haven't gotten to that
really
point
good.
yet.
Yeah. All right, well, thanks so much. Again, that's episode 12 of D&D's Nolzur's Marvelous Tutorials with RealmSmith. Next week, we might do we were going to do a bullet. So we might do a bullet, but then we'll do the Cloud Giant. I think everybody was asking to do the Cloud Giant. So again, check out our Kickstarter, realmsmith.tv/Kickstarter. We're well on our way and almost at our first stretch goal. We've got tons of wonderful stuff for you. Tomorrow night, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we will be playing D&D at this table with Brandon Perkins DMing, and we're playing our Order of Dragon's Bane campaign, and I play a monk, a gold dragonborn monk named Crichton, which is a lot of fun. Awesome. You guys have an awesome night. We're going to go get steak.
Yes.
And we'll see you guys in a bit. Take care.
Bye.